Hi everyone. In our last video, we used a pivot table to analyze sales by customers. In this video, we're going to create a pivot table to show total sales to the top 3 customers. We could start on the data worksheet and create another worksheet, but it makes sense that the sales to customers pivot table we created in our last video will work well as a starting place for this worksheet. So let's start by simply making a copy of the Sales by Customer worksheet. Right-click on the Worksheet tab, move or copy, create a copy, move to End. OK. And it gives us Sales by Customers number 2. We'll change that in a few minutes. But before we get serious about showing our top 3 customers, let's use this copy to play a little bit, see what we can do with a pivot table options. The first thing we're going to want to do is to get into the value field settings again. Now you could go to the pivot table fields, come down here and click on this down arrow again to choose value field settings, but there are other ways to get there. Let me show you another way. Let's right-click on total sales and choose value field settings. We have some choices to choose the type of calculation that we want to summarize. Right now it's set on sum. Let's go ahead and just try average. Just click on average and say OK. And it changed our heading of the column to average of amount invoiced. And this gives us an average of the amount that we invoiced to ABC Company, an average of the amount we invoice to EFG Company, etc. This could be quite useful. Let's experiment by selecting Count. And it tells us how many invoices we sent to ABC Company and all the other customers during the month of December. So why don't you go ahead and experiment and try max, min, etc. But when you're finished experimenting, go back to sum and click OK. And we're back where we started. If you'll notice, however, it did change the name of our columns back to sum of amount invoiced. You know that's easy to change, but let's not worry about that for right now. Let's go ahead and accomplish the purpose of this worksheet, which is to show the sales to the top 3 customers. Easy to do. Click on the row labels, this little arrow here. Select value filters and select top 10. And that gives us the top 10 items. We don't want 10, we want 3. So just use the down arrow and change that to top 3 items and say OK. Now we have sales to the top 3 customers and the total amount of those sales. We're going to want to change the column heading to sales to top 3 customers. Right-click, get back into value field settings, and type in sales to top 3 customers. That looks pretty fair, But as you know, these extra wide columns are kind of worthless. They waste space. They don't do a nice presentation. So let's experiment with the column width, and let's go ahead and wrap this text and center it. So I'm going to move the column width back to something that I can kind of deal with. But now we're cutting off most of what we have to say. So highlight top 3 customers and click wrap text. And now let's make that just a little wider so the 3 will be in the top line, sales to top 3 customers. We can now make this a little bit not quite as deep. And let's go ahead and center this. Now, doesn't that look a lot better? So let's change the name of our tab, worksheet tab, to top 3 customers. So we've finished this assignment then. Top 3 customers is placed to the right of our continually growing worksheet. So that's all for this video. When we come back, we'll create some more pivot tables to analyze different elements of the data that we've been given. See you next time.